Dance's model. This model depicts communication as a dynamic process. The helix represents the way communication evolves in an individual from his birth to existing moment. This helical communication model offers a flexible communication process. Informal group discussion consists of a small group that get together in order to bring up and talk about common problem concern. General agricultural extension approach. This is considered as the most common approach and is used by government organizations responsible in promoting agricultural programs. Trial. The nature of the subject matter. For instance, if the subject matter deals with the various aspects of swine production, the use of lecture discussion, demonstration method supplemented with printed matter, and field trip to a successful piggery farm are more appropriate methods. Cost-sharing approach. This approach assumes that any non-formal educational program is more likely to achieve its goals if those who benefit from it share some part of the cost of it. Observability. This refers to the extent to which an innovation or its results can be observed or are visible to others. If the results of an innovation can be easily seen, it will tend to be adopted quickly. Participatory extension approach are based on equal partnership among farmers, researchers, and extension agents who can all learn from each other and contribute their knowledge and skills. Participatory extension approach. Participatory extension approach. The rationale behind people participation in extension can be summed up in the following statement: all changes should be introduced with fullest consent and participation of those whose daily lives will be affected by the change. Circular letters can disseminate different types of information to the extension clientele. Interest. At this stage, a person develops a curiosity or concern in the new idea or practice. He needs and actively seeks more detailed information. Berlow's model. Known as the SMCR model, a source encodes a message for a channel to a receiver who decodes the message. This model shows the important elements in the communication process. Training and visit system approach. Designed to give each extension worker a well-defined job with timely training, technical backstopping, and adequate supervision. He is expected to live within his area of responsibility and is provided with adequate transportation and teaching resources to conduct his work in an effective manner. Andragogy is a theory of adult learning. It is based on the Greek word aner, meaning man. It means the art and science of helping adults learn. Innovation. Any idea or practice that is regarded as new by a particular individual. In agricultural extension, any changed practice is considered an innovation. Office calls, concerned with personal visits made by the clientele to the extension office. In an office call, the reason for the visit is reversed from that of the farm visit because the initiative to seek information comes from the farmer. Extension approach can be described as an organized and coherent combination of strategies and methods to make extension work effective in certain areas. The diffusion curve. The most frequent graphic illustration of the diffusion of innovation is the diffusion curve. It is a graph with time periods shown on the horizontal axis and the cumulative percentage of farmers who have adopted the innovation on the vertical axis. Posters, a single sheet visual with an illustration and contains usually a few simple words. Commodity approach. This approach makes use of the available production factors such as the use of improved seeds, fertilizers, different cultural methods, etc. It is sometimes known as the multi-purpose or integrated approach. Instructional objective. If the objective of the lesson is the clientele's acquisition of agricultural information and ideas, the use of the lecture method would be suitable. Commodity approach. This approach focuses on the production of a certain important crop like rice, corn, sweet potato, etc. by employing a package of technology. Effective change. The communication activity can change the people's attitudes, including their beliefs or opinions about something, whether favorably or unfavorably. Experiential learning. Learner-centered emphasizes the role played by the participants' experiences in the learning process. It is considered as a continuous process consisting of 4 basic elements: experience, process, generalization, and application. Adoption of an innovation refers to the acceptance or use of a new idea or practice by a particular individual. Cost-sharing approach. It is assumed that the program is more likely to fit local situations and personnel are more likely to serve the interests of the clientele of the program if the costs are shared between the outside sponsors of the program and the inside target groups for the program. Farmer Field School Instructional Objective. Choosing the appropriate methods is anchored on how well the methods will meet the blank. Participatory extension approach. Integrate community mobilization for planning and action with rural development, agricultural extension, and research. Conducted tour field trip. A group can visit a place to observe farm practices, extension projects, or demonstrations not available in the locality. The purpose. The message prepared by an extension worker must be clear as to its purpose. In here, he should be very clear what sort of change he expects to bring about among clientele. Is it change in knowledge, skills, or attitude on the part of the receiver? The teacher, facilitator. Literally, a facilitator is someone who makes things easy. An extension worker makes things easy by helping clients to learn through a comfortable and collaborative environment or by creating an effective learning situation. Radio, one of the fastest and most powerful means of communication in the Philippines. Survey studies have shown that radio appears to be the best medium that penetrate the remote barangays of the country. The extension worker as a teacher must know his clientele, their educational background, age, abilities, interest, needs, experiences, etc. Treatment. This refers to the way the message is presented to the audience. The message must be understandable, logically sequenced, interesting, and in conformity with the social norms. Innovators are the first persons in a locality to adopt a new idea or practice. Innovators are important to the success of an extension program, for they can be persuaded to try new farming methods, thereby creating awareness of them in the community. Educator. Extension is essentially education, and it aims at bringing about positive behavioral changes among farmers. Hence, an extension worker is an educator who stimulates interest in learning. He extends, disseminates, or transfers information that bring about positive changes or benefits to his clients. General agricultural extension approach. The basic assumption of this approach is that technology and information are available which are not being used by farmers. Participatory extension approach. Promote farmers' capacity to adopt and develop new and appropriate technologies, innovations. The educational institution approach. Wall newspaper has a text that is brief and makes use of drawings and or photographs. It is similar to a poster in terms of size and appearance, but contains more written materials and varied information. Informal contacts can take place on the street, in the marketplace, or at local celebrations. These meetings often take place by chance and are casual in nature. General agricultural extension approach. If knowledge of these could be communicated to farmers, farm practice could be improved. The approach is basically one of technology transfer from government to rural people. This approach tends to look at the improvement of farming in general. Training and visit system approach. A fixed schedule of the training of village extension workers by subject matter specialists and a fixed schedule of visits by the village extension workers to farmers. Role-playing consists of a simulation or dramatization describing a simple scenario relevant to the concerns of the participants. In this method of teaching, participants conduct role-playing to present a social situation or problem. The receiver. The person receiving the idea is called the receiver or audience of communication. In extension, the farmers, homemakers, and youth are the intended receivers of messages whose behavior is expected to change. Newsletters. Shannon and Weaver's model. This model is the most common communication model used in low-level communication texts. It is a linear one-way process of communication that incorporates noise into the picture. The nature of the learner using publications such as bulletins and leaflets may not be suited for teaching extension clientele with limited education. Individual methods are effective when dealing with illiterate farmers. Meeting, an organized assembly of a group of people set up by extension agent for a specific purpose. Communication, the process of imparting or exchanging information. Leswell's model. Who say what in which channel to whom with what effect structures this communication model. This model represents communication as a linear sequence rather than an interactive process. Early majority is made up of those who watch the innovators and the early adopters through several time periods but do not delay much longer before adopting the innovation. Exhibits. These are displays of models, specimens, charts, posters, etc. about specific subjects or processes which are arranged in a sequence. Learning must be challenging and satisfying. Teacher motivation of the students is essential in making learning more challenging. Trialability. The content. The content of the message must be relevant to the audience and related to the intent or purpose of the communication. Farming systems development approach. This approach assumes that the technology which fits the needs of farmers, particularly small farmers, is not available and should be generated locally. The purpose is to provide extension personnel with research results tailored to meet the needs and interests of local farming system conditions. Instructional objective. When the subject is focused on the development of a skill of the clientele like castrating a piglet using the one-slit method, the agricultural extension worker should be able to show the operation using the method demonstration. Readiness to learn. Method can be defined as an orderly and systematic procedure of doing something. It could also refer to the manner in which something is presented or taught. Group method. Extension teaching is more frequently used in extension work since the extension worker can reach more people than when using the individual contacts alone. Evaluation. Once a person has become interested in an innovation, he can begin with the process of evaluating it. He must weigh the advantages and drawbacks of the new idea and decide whether or not to try it. The evaluation stage is sometimes called the mental trial stage. Schramm's model. This circular model includes feedback, hence communication is reciprocal, two-way process. Schramm's model omits channel as important element of the communication process. Farmer field school. The objective is to maximize the use of relevant technologies generated and to ultimately raise farm productivity. Farmers are also encouraged to analyze the relative importance of a crop production enterprise and its constraints. The educational institution approach. This approach involves the participation of agricultural schools, colleges, and universities. Farmer field school. Participatory extension approach. Aim to strengthen rural people's problem-solving, planning and management abilities. Training and visit system approach. This approach is typically used in the Agricultural Extension Division of a National Ministry Department of Agriculture. This approach employs a two-way flow of communication between research and extension units and between extension staff and farmers. Cognitive change. The communication intervention can change or add to the knowledge information possessed by an individual or a group of individuals. Late majority is composed of those who are conservative or skeptical. They do not adopt a new practice until most of their neighbors have already made the change. The field flag. Late adopters are the last in a social system to change. They accept the new idea very late and are conventionally called laggards. Noise can be viewed as a disturbance or interference that keeps a message from getting through to the recipients. Examples are fear, prejudices or biases, inability to grasp the idea and other barriers, availability of facilities and resources. Farmer field school, one in which the learning process is brought to the farmer's field, near their homes and within their farm environment. It is a school without walls that uses an experiential learning approach to build farmers' capacity to analyze problems and identify solutions. Used to gather in-depth qualitative data, method demonstration is a short-time activity that shows how a new technique and practice is done step by step. Message: the idea being shared between two or more persons. The idea may be in the form of skills, new knowledge, or favorable attitude. Early adopters are those who quickly follow the lead set by the innovators. These are the people who are normally cautious and want to see the idea tried first and proven under local conditions. The local leaders and others who are respected in the community belong to this group of people. The project approach operates within a specified time frame and therefore its continuity is not anticipated. However, successful methods and techniques demonstrated inside the project will later be replicated in other locations. Mass methods are particularly useful in carrying out information to large numbers of people quickly. They can help create awareness of and stimulate interest in a new idea or practice, or give timely advice or warnings such as sudden outbreak of crop pest or disease. Adoption. At this stage, the individual is convinced that the new practice is good enough for full-scale use. He is likely to make use of the practice until a new development starts the cycle again. In agricultural extension, a mediator is someone that bridges the gap or serves as the link between researchers and farmers. While researchers focus on the technical aspects for generating technologies, extension worker focuses on the acceptance and adoption of those technologies by the users. The source or sender, enabler, one that guides, motivates, supports, and helps. An extension worker does the work of an enabler, thus making his clients capable of coping with situations and focus on their goals and the means of achieving it. Considered as a very crucial component of the communication process. It is information or any reaction that is sent back by the receiver to the source. Without feedback, an extension worker cannot determine whether he has communicated effectively. Method demonstration could show how to use a tool, a new method of planting, or how to prepare a newly developed food product. Publication. These are printed matter used in reinforcing other methods of reaching and influencing people. The two types of publications which are commonly produced by information agencies doing development work for the rural people are bulletins and leaflets. Compatibility. Compatibility refers to the extent to which an innovation is perceived as consistent with existing values, past experiences, and needs of receivers. Results demonstration, one of the oldest and most widely used methods of extension teaching. It is a long-time demonstration that shows a comparison between the new practice or recommendation and the existing practice in the locality. Effect. This refers to the possible outcome or consequence of communication on the extension audience. Self-directed learning focuses on the process by which adults take control of their own learning, that is, setting their own learning goals, locating appropriate resources, deciding on which learning methods to use, and evaluating their progress. Farmer aid. An extension worker gives aid or assistance in achieving the desired goals for farmers. He assists them to identify and analyze their farm problems and makes them aware of the opportunities for improvement. The role of experience. As an individual matures, he accumulates expanding reservoir of experience that causes him to become an increasingly rich resource for learning and, at the same time, provides him with a broadening base under which to relate new learning. The project approach. The nature of the subject matter. Experience in extension work has shown that the more ways new information is presented, the faster the individual learns. Therefore, the extension worker must use a number of teaching methods to present the subject. Communication. the process by which a source sends a message to a receiver by means of some channel in order to produce a response from the receiver in accordance with the intention of the source. Television, useful channel of communication. It plays an important role in educating masses of people. Awareness. The first step towards adoption of an innovation is to become aware of the existence of a new idea, and it is presumed that a person becomes aware of a new idea practice for the first time. At this stage, the individual knows very little about the new idea. Field day, a period in which people gather in an area containing successful practices or research. Wall newspaper, usually posted on walls of buildings, especially those located at busy intersections. The barangay bulletin boards, reading centers, barangay halls, or schools can be posting places too for wall newspaper. Seminar workshop. Orientation of learning.